So hello everybody, and welcome to this new edition of looking at some weird old magazines from Brazil. And this is the issue 4 of SUPERGAME. I recorded actually a video talking about the first issue, but the first issue is boring. It's like really boring, and I thought the audio was garbage, so I kind of, cutting my losses, I guess. So anyway, this issue actually have. And the reason I have it is because Pit Fighter. Well, god damn it, Pit Fighter is a horrible game. So before we get into Pit Fighter though, so again, this is from November '91, and Sonic had already come out. The first issue for SUPERGAME actually, basically had a little thing about Sonic, but it wasn't very big, and it was, I guess, a good time to make a magazine about, Sega. This magazine covers exclusively Sega consoles and games, right? Opposed to Gamepower, which came later and only covered Nintendo consoles and games, as well as arcade, though. They did cover arcade games occasionally. Well, okay, so good. So this is basically the cover, and I don't know if they drew this, but I like this. I love this cover. Pretty cool. I guess they drew it. Then there is a bunch of other stuff. There's what is this? No.4. Yeah, that's the actually the publishing house. So that's the boss. He's a little character. Later he dyes his hair, I guess. His name I think is Matthew Shirts or something like that. But yeah, anyway, so he also ends up being the boss in SUPERGAME Power. So it inherits that. So Pit Fighter, yes, and Batman and E-SWAT. In a comic this thing had. Anyway, so yeah, so there's a bunch of letters here. Frankenstein, Bell Dancer, whatever. So yeah, advertisements. So yeah, again, remember this time still piracy was a big thing, and as we already know from the other magazines, there are a bunch of stuff with clone consoles for Nintendo. Dynavision, for example, is one of those. But this particular magazine doesn't have much of this because they're doing basically Sega consoles, and Sega had an official representation as Tech Toy, so there was no real excuse to put anything, I guess, in terms of piracy in the magazine. Of course, there were pirate cards for everything. Although honestly, now that I think about it, I never actually saw pirate cartridges for Master System. Like, I can't think of anything. Like it just comes blank. I don't remember any at all. I know for Genesis there were a lot of them, like a lot of them, but for Master System, not really. Maybe it turns out that by that point people were focusing on pirating the newer one, or maybe it was easier. I don't know. Anyway, this is the E-SWAT. So this is the end of the game E-SWAT, and there's some tips on those games. Castle of Illusion. That boss is kind of hard. The boss in Castle of Illusion, the chocolate one, Chocolate Devil, is similar to the Yellow Demon or Yellow Monster from Mega Man. He just teleports from one side to the other in pieces, so it's pretty annoying. But there's a way to beat him. It's actually pretty easy. Anyway, so E-SWAT for the Master System is a pretty interesting port of the arcade game. It's not a very good game though, but it's interesting in that it's kind of an anime adaptation to the arcade game. So Ultima 4, Outrun 3D, Shadow Dancer, Populous. Populous is cool. Shadow Dancer is cool too. E-SWAT's cool. Anyway, so this is they start with like the codes, I guess, because a lot of people would buy the magazine to get information about how to beat the games they have, or they rent it or something. So I suppose that's why they put this early. It's actually a pretty good idea. So because I know I did actually look for cheats and stuff on these magazines very, very often. That's why I usually got them. And I wasn't the only one, so. Or at the very least, like strategies and cheats and stuff like that. What is this? Yeah, there was another. Yeah, this is like footage of. What is this? There you go. Gulf War. Wow. Yeah. Apparently it looks like a game. Okay, that's news. So New Geo. New Geo, right? I'm gonna buy a New Geo. Letters. And then there's a comic. And this game, this magazine had a thing about the comic, right? It's a really weird comic. I you know, without any context, I could never know what the hell's going on here. The the actual visual style is so strange that it's really, really strange. It's got, I don't know. I don't like it, but it's whatever. I always thought it was a waste of time because it's not about games. But they already started the comic in the first issue, so I suppose they felt they had to do it, or at the very least, you know, they didn't want to fire the guy who was drawing it. So I don't know. This is Genesis Batman from Sunsoft. So one thing this magazine doesn't have are, you know, proper, like, honest to God reviews, right? It does have some coverage of games and so on, but it doesn't have a scoring system of any kind like Super Gamepower did, and Gamepower as well. Some games had them. This like basically this magazine had nothing. So, and then Spitfighter. Oh God, Spitfighter also actually the Genesis port, which is, I don't know. You know, if you want to discuss which one is better, like the Super Nintendo or the Genesis port, they're both horrible games. So you know, play them if you have to, for some reason, but I would recommend you don't. Though honestly, back then this was actually a big deal. I remember renting it a couple of times at the very least, and playing with friends and so on. So again, the days before Street Fighter were pretty dire, honestly, if you liked fighting games and fighting in general. So they actually had some little, like, I guess you would call them cutscenes. I never got the game really, honestly. It was kind of oh, it's a tech file. Look at that. Oh, Sonic for the Master System. So, and unless I'm mistaken, this is actually the Yuzo Koshiro project, right? Or is it the second game? I think it's the second one. And Sonic Chaos, right? Or something like that. But yeah, the Master System version is actually pretty good. Like, in fact, surprisingly good. Especially the second game. It's actually really good. For what it is, I mean, it's kind of amazing. I think the Storm's pretty cool. The arcade game's really, really good. And the Genesis version is pretty good too. I always didn't like this game very much because of how it looked. Because it's, you know, aliens, and I like the shooting stages though, where you can destroy everything. That's pretty cool. This was also a pretty popular game back in Brazil. Like everybody had this game, or at the very least played a bunch of it. Gaiars. A thing? Okay, let's shoot him up. Mustang. Fire Mustang, okay. Like this game only got like a single paragraph. And is that a screenshot of the game? I doubt it. Why are there Nazis? I don't know, weird. So, okay, so this is like people. Ha ha ha! Look at this. Somebody submitted the actual, like, the Strider Infinite Life thing with the Altered Beast cartridge from some games. That's actually pretty funny. That was a thing about that. Eesh. Okay, so Sonic, right? F-16, Teddy Boy, which reused graphics from Alex Kidd, or the other way around, I'm not sure. So Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man versus the Kingpin, yeah. Weird game though. I like the game. Like honestly, I remember renting this game and failing and losing. I don't know why. Like it was a weird thing. I know you have to like defuse the bombs and stuff, but I had no idea what I was doing. I just like playing as Spider-Man. I like he's climbing and stuff. It's pretty cool. I remember like the sewer stage was there. That's where I basically stopped playing or died all the time. So there you go. There's a yo, look at this thing. It's a quick shot. What is his name? I don't remember. Chimera? Yeah, Chimeras. Yeah, there you go. weird. I like how they. I mean, you have to admire that back then they would come up with these designs for things. I mean, it was a brave new world, and you know, maybe you could reinvent how to hold the joystick or for the gamepad or whatever that was. But of course, nobody used it because it's stupid. So, Castle of Illusion, blah blah blah, Space Harrier 3D, Vigilante. So, Vigilante is an RM game. This was reprogrammed by Sega for the Master System. Is a pretty bad port of the original RM game. I mean, it is decent for Master System standards, and if you like Jackie Chan, it's pretty cool, I guess, right? But you know, it's pretty mediocre. Oh, this guy, right? This is Tafo. This is like a pretty famous guitarist in Brazil. He had a part. Yeah, he actually is part of a bunch of bands and stuff. Memphis, Secos y Molhados Gang, Radio Taxi, etc. I have no idea about anything from this dude except that I've known like some of the bands he's played in, but I have like absolutely no idea what it sounds like. He likes games apparently. So, oh, this is classified. Okay, so this is... Oh, look at this thing. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but I actually have Happy Cube. Happy Cube? That's the name? I don't know. I actually remember having this though, and it was kind of interesting for the 5 seconds that it lasted. And that's it. That's the 4th issue of... What's this? Super Game, right? Yeah, Pit Fighter. Again, the days before Street Fighter were pretty dire. I mean, you just got whatever you could basically at this point, because there's nothing that. I mean, for you to make such a big deal about about Pit Fighter, you had to be pretty desperate, and that was true though. But well, yeah. So this has been Super Game. We're gonna cover Super Gamepower next probably to kind of wrap up that kind of little corner of the game magazine world and stuff. But it's pretty interesting that this, it actually had a pretty long run. And you think that Super Gamepower actually lasted until 2009. Like, honest to God, it's a long time, from 94 to 2009. It's a pretty long run. It was over 10 years. So, pretty interesting. But yeah, so that's been everything for now. So, game on.